perspective is everything. I would absolutely never get to travel how we've traveled, like drive to Paris, drive to Lake Como, take our kids all over Europe, try new things. We wouldn't have that experience even if we came over here for a vacation. It's completely different. So I try like embrace the culture.
You're listening to Breaking the Ice podcast, a podcast that I created in 2020 to connect women within the hockey world. My name's Devin Dodaro, my husband's Charlie Dodaro, and we've played literally all over the world. We have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and let's just say hockey has taken my world by storm. What I've learned is that this community and these experiences are very specific, and you should not have to go through this alone. Through this podcast, I share the tools, resources, do's, don'ts, and what's helped me along the way while continuing to learn from each and every one of you. So lace them up and tune in for episodes twice a month. And make sure to follow the page on Instagram at Breaking the Ice Pod. Happy Wednesday, you guys. I am sitting here and it is raining outside, kind of a vibe in here. I'm like, this is a great setup to record this intro. Welcome back to the podcast. We did it. We finally recorded a European episode. It has been a hot minute of doing that with the time difference. But you know what? You know it's good when between the two of us, between me and my guest, we have 5 little kids under the age of 6, and we were able to make it work. It was about noon my time, 8 her time. We sat down and had such a great conversation. Today on the podcast, I had Yakira Gill, whose husband plays pro hockey currently in Germany, but they have definitely done their time country hopping. Germany, Austria, Slovakia, and she has given birth to 2 of her 3 boys overseas. A lot of times when I think about this lifestyle over the last 12 years, I really do often think of a lot of these scenarios through a lens of stress. Like, Yakira talks about it so differently, and she speaks about all of these different seasons in her life with so much gratitude. Really started shifting my mindset a little bit of how to look at these different experiences that we go to. Like, even in this league, we're back in the ECHL, and with like the road trips and stuff, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be so burnt out. Like, it's just a lot. I'm really trying to like soak up these days with my kids and just really appreciate them, because getting kind of derailed there, but when you're in this life, like the moving, the unknown contracts, like where are we going next year? It is very, very easy to live in survival mode. It is very easy to focus on the inconveniences, the lack of control, the instability. And I'm not saying I don't do that anymore. Like, I most definitely have that come up for me, because sometimes it does feel like survival mode with like needing more support and you don't have it. Listening to her did make me realize something, that this phase and period of our lives are really short, and it is really cool to raise your babies in different countries. Yes, it was very hard, and I can't say that I always did it with grace, but it is something that I am seriously so proud of, to say like I birthed my kids abroad, and I was mothering my children in Europe. Like, that is such a cool thing to share with them one day. And I actually said to my husband a few weeks ago, I was like, I really think that you and I need to buy, or like just start writing down some of these memories, because him and I sometimes sit down and we'll start getting onto like a funny story about something that happened with like someone picking us up from the airport on the team. I was pregnant, just like those kind of funny stories that I fear one day we're going to kind of like forget about it. And I don't know. I started thinking, I'm like, if I was like a 5-year-old and I was like living in England and Slovenia and France and Austria with my parents, like I would definitely want to know those stories, like, and so it is rare to experience like these births that stretch you so far past your comfort zone, you know, having to build that community from scratch over and over again. She romanticizes this in like the most healthy way, and not a romanticizing it and like, I'm gonna just like pretend I love it and whatever, but truly just like embracing the lifestyle that we do live. Like, I can be very, let's get through this season, like just very matter of fact and focused on kind of what's next. And she's more like, this is like this is the season. Like, this is like, soak in these moments because one day this is going to be over and like it's going to be different. So I just appreciate so much of her attitude and perspective with this lifestyle. And if you are struggling, this is not to say that she's never struggled over there. I think a lot of her experiences have shaped her to look at things like this. I also asked her some things that she negotiates in her contracts as a family of five and like what is important and what is a deal breaker to them. So I cannot wait for you guys to hear this. Let's get into it. We're chatting before, we've talked back and forth over Instagram for years, so I am happy to learn more about you today and share all the things. So welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I feel the same that we know who each other are. We've talked so much, and social media is so powerful for that way. Like coming on as strangers, but we're not actually strangers just because of Instagram is so amazing.
I know it is really cool in that way. I love that.
Me too.
Okay, so for people that may not follow you, may not have played with you, you know the drill. I
Who
always
is
ask,
she?
yeah, who are you? Tell me
Yeah.
more. Give me
To
a
the
little run.
one, well, the one time when the very first time we moved to Germany, the coach had all us girls meet and said, "What is one thing that is interesting about you?" And I said, "I can lick my elbow." So I can lick my elbow. My name's
Perfect.
Yakira. I'm married to Sahir. We live in Germany right now. This is our 8th season over here. And we have 3 sons and a dog. So
Wow.
we're living it up.
You are truly living the European hockey life.
Here we are.
Yeah, I feel like you guys, what's like the total amount of years you guys have been over there for?
Augsburg for 2 years, Villach for 1 year, Landshut for 1 year, Slovakia for 3 years, and now we're in Hanover, the Scorpion. So this is the 8th season, which is mind blowing. Like when I would meet people and they said they'd been here for years, I'm like, oh my gosh, that will never be us. Like I think a couple years here and we'll go back to Canada and like move on from the chapter. Then now we're here. We have people on the team that have been here for 8 years, and yeah, I would never change it. It has given us such a amazing life and lifestyle with our family. So yeah, we're the bets now over here.
Yeah, isn't that such like a funny feeling when that switches? It's like when you first start off, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know like where to get this item or where to find a how to find a doctor, where to get a new
Yeah.
card for my phone. And then all of a sudden you're like helping other people figure that kind of thing out, which is it's kind
Yeah.
of a cool full circle moment.
It totally is. Yeah, like the first few years completely overpacked. Didn't know what I could find over here. Didn't think I could find anything apparently with how much I packed. Suitcases and hockey bags, crystals, pens, notebooks, like the silliest little things so that I thought would make us feel at home. And then it's like, oh, you can get everything over here and it can be different than Canada too. Like you'll find alternatives and usually I like them better anyways.
Yeah. Do you guys usually go home for the off season?
We've gone back and forth. Like one summer in Slovakia, we stayed the whole summer, and then it depends. Like last summer, we only went for like 6 or 3 weeks because we just love it over here. One of my sisters lives in Portugal, so we go see her, and then like we love the Europe life. So right now, well, he's still playing. Maybe we'll stay a few more summers, and then we'll go home for good kind of thing.
Yeah, because I
But we'll
remember,
see it. Yeah, sorry.
no, no, go ahead.
It's always different. I think for now that we have 3 kids and the dog, so I'm like totally fine with staying here for a few summers before for a few years, however long we play for more. And we have lots of family that visits. Like I would rather them come to us right now. and experience this lifestyle and the summer over here rather than like packing up 9 hour time change. This summer we even left our dog at a dog hotel because it was so short that it was like unfair for him to fly, I thought. So he had like the best time ever at the dog hotel. And then yeah, so it was short. So it's always been different. Some summers, like I think like 2020, we were home like 6 or 7 months. And then the summer after, it was similar, like like April, May, June, July. So it's been different, I guess, every summer.
Yeah, because yeah, I was gonna say I remember like I think it was Slovakia, and you guys
Yeah.
had that amazing yard, and I was like, I'm sorry, what is happening? Is this in Europe? Are you at home? Like I didn't know
Yeah.
people could live with a yard like this in Europe. Like that
My gosh, that was like the
unbelievable.
most amazing host. We were so blessed with that. Like the host was amazing. And then that yard was massive, completely fenced in, like a gate in the front. There was like a fence on every side. So you could just open the back door and you know the kids are good. If they're like out there for a few minutes before you were there going to play soccer, had a ride on tractor. Like that was, we were, yeah, very lucky and thankful for that, but that was in Nitra in Slovakia. Things like that are helpful to stay there for the whole summer because you're not
Yeah,
like jammed in a tiny apartment.
totally. When you like, obviously, you guys have three kids.
Yeah,
You're well established in this hockey world. This has been your life. You've been in Europe, you've been to different teams and whatnot. So when you guys are looking, which assuming like a lot of years have been like year to year contracts, like that he
right,
resigns or you sign somewhere else.
right,
What are things that you guys sit down and look at together as a couple to be like, this is a good fit for our family versus not?
right. Well, depending on, yeah, visas, obviously the team has to provide the basics and then the housing can make a big difference. Like right now in Hanover, we are also very lucky and have a great house. So the housing, and then I look around like what can our kids do here?
Mhm.
Because this is like our oldest is 6 now. And like this is their childhood too. So to make things as normal as possible. So housing, parks, like just the basics if we can, and then we can go from there. And like we usually make the best out of every situation. Like in Slovakia, before we were the host, we were in an apartment, of course, and then we got to move. So like that was kind of a non-negotiable, was to like get a bigger space. And with having the dog too, like to have a yard is with kids is really nice if you can't get out first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I feel like once you probably had that yard and house, you could never go back to not having a yard and house. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, no, we're not going back into like a small apartment, which is, I mean, it's honestly like so impressive that people truly live like that, like year round, and like such a
totally.
so many people. But it is nice to have that extra space for sure, just for
Yeah,
your sanity to be able to like step away
totally.
from a minute.
I know now that we're used to it, it would be hard to go back to smaller if we ever have to, but we would also just make do of it because then I look around and think, well, we do use like a small space, like the two older boys share a room and love it. And most of the nights they end up in our room anyways. And then like they're not like bedroom kids. They love to be where we are. So like we really don't need much space, but we use the space if we have it. Like
Right.
even just like for storage even or the attic. We have an attic here. So like the Christmas tree can be put away there and it just be like out of sight, out of mind until next Christmas, which is nice.
Yeah. Do you guys like ask the team to send pictures of the housing? Like, how do you go about finding, which I believe your kids, two of your boys are in school, right? So,
Yeah. So in Slovakia, it was just like added to the contract, like that the following we went in like December and then months later in May we went got the house and then we looked at a few and then it was like a connection through the hockey whose house we ended up living in, which ended up being like the coach of the next season. So it was like just a connection where he had a house available. And then this one, I think there was another couple or another family that lived in it the previous season who aren't here this year or this season. So then it just transferred over to like, I think the people with the largest amount of children.
yeah, who needs
Here
the
we
most?
are. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a big anything like the good housing I don't take for granted over here because I know not everyone gets great housing or like has problems or has to move or just like there's little things that don't seem like a big deal that are. So yeah, we're definitely always grateful that we get these beautiful spaces and then
Yeah,
it's easy to make or like easier to make them feel homey too, I think, if you enjoy the space that you live in.
100%. And yeah, that's a good point. I feel like I've definitely lurked some rosters to see who has played there that, looks like they like I'm like looking for like 1985 and like, between like 1985 and yeah, I'm like, okay, who probably has kids? And then I'll look them up and be like, what was the living? Do you have pictures of the house? Like I need to
Totally.
and I walk.
Yeah. Yeah. We did get pictures and like we're like, wow, that's incredible. Like we will totally go live there. So I love investigating though on Instagram. Like the team we were considering going to. I found like one of the wives' Instagram's accounts and I'm just going back for years almost. Like
Yeah,
I don't know everything on here.
one picture here. Let me just see.
Yeah, where's the housing?
Well, okay, so it sounds like you guys have a few years left in you for
Yeah, I
love.
hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. And how old are you guys?
I'm 30.
Okay.
Sahir's 33. So I think we could do a few more years. He had just actually tore his ACL,
Oh no.
but doesn't have to get surgery. He is going to be cleared to play for playoffs. So like that's a big blessing right now. It's been a bit of a crazy season for him with a few things like that. So really glad that he'll get to do the playoff run and yeah, hopefully a big championship. A few more years would be great.
Yeah. Okay. So, and something I said to you, but I feel like you have done such an amazing job at having such a positive perspective, living away, which can be hard. I know you're close with your family and just being
Mhm.
away for like long chunks of time and you have kids. And how have you gotten to that point of having such a positive perspective? Have you always felt that way about Europe? Have you gone through things that have like made you see things differently? Like what has that been like for you?
I feel like a few things definitely gone through things like as a child or a teenager, but I think like I don't play the victim card. I never have. And then um not playing the victim and like perspective is everything. I would absolutely never get to travel how we've traveled, like drive to Paris, drive to Lake Como, take our kids all over Europe, try new things. We wouldn't have that experience even if we came over here for a vacation. It's completely different. So I try like embrace the culture, even if I can't understand the language, like being in Germany kind of learn the basics the first few years and then you switch and you're in Slovakia, which Slovak is such a hard language.
Yeah.
So like just trying to like find what work areas people can speak English, like a favorite grocery store or just little things, little cafes you like to go to and then they kind of recognize you. Like, I'm sure they would love if I spoke the language, but they also it doesn't seem like they mind if you become like if you like are friendly, then are friendly too. It's mostly off energy rather than language, I think. So I try to put out a positive energy and then just yeah have the perspective like this isn't forever. Like one day, no matter what you're where you're playing, it will come to an end. So just to keep that in mind and enjoy the seasons and the ups and downs and find parks or find little things in your day that bring joy. It's pretty I like to find joy in the small things like a cup of coffee, a good cafe. I'm a cafe girl. The
Yeah.
boys have like grown up in cafes that most European kids have, I think, or like North American European. It's like normal for our kids to like be good in cafes and like just hang out there. I was just at one today this afternoon with the three kids and they were just like uh had their like coloring books out and the baby was in his high chair eating. I'm like, wow, this is such a blessing and so cool. Like I don't know how comfortable people are doing that or comfortable people are of doing that like in North America. I think they think it's so different. Like it's a chore to take your kids out with you over there or like people are staring at you or it's like a haul to get them to the grocery store where I think the parenting over here, it's just normal to take your kid with you. It's normal if your kid's in a restaurant and not on an iPad. Sometimes maybe they need to be, or it's normal if they are at the grocery store. Like I feel like the parenting is a lot more just like normal for your kid to be around with you and do adult things over here in Europe. It kind of got off topic.
Oh no, please. Get off topic as possible. That's where the best conversations come from that.
But
No,
sorry, you know.
I feel like that's actually a good point because you don't, if you go to a coffee shop here, like you're really not seeing kids sitting there with coloring books. Whereas, yeah, on the flip, I feel like we were going to coffee shops like I was racking up like, I mean, however much money weekly at,
Cafe budget.
yeah, to just to get out, get a coffee, get a little
Totally.
and then we come back here and we're like going to, Trader Joe's and my son's like, "Can I get a little treat?" And I'm like, "It's not the same because they don't
I
have a
know.
shelf in the front with fresh pastries and that kind of thing." And like I miss that so much of just like, grabbing a croissant and like walking around and just like looking at stuff. Like I think that
Totally.
is something that I took for granted where I was like, "Oh, it's just something we're doing just to like get outside." But then it's like
Right.
like looking back and having that perspective now, it is something that is really cool about the culture over there is that it does feel
Yeah,
very there's some countries that are not as welcoming, I feel like, with
for
kids, but
sure.
for the most part, most of the countries we've lived in have been like really great
Yeah.
with kids in tow.
Yeah, that same as us, like Germany, Austria, Slovakia,
Mhm.
have all been so welcoming. Like you never get judgmental looks like when you go in. It's just like totally normal. And like Slovakia had so many cafes with kids areas, like literally these giant cafes catered to like the kids having fun and the parent being able to like sit in and also enjoy themselves. Like
Mhm.
that needs to be everywhere.
Oh yeah, I know. They just opened a few of those in Idaho actually, and I'm like, good for
That's
you.
so
You're ahead of the
nice.
curve because that's gonna be like I feel like the next thing in the next like probably 10 years in a lot of
Totally.
gonna bring that part of it over.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with like the online world, so many people see like the possibilities, even probably I'm assuming Europeans see like North American possibilities, and then you get like open to so many new ideas with social media because you see that literally everything's possible if you like want it to happen and
yeah,
put in the effort, then anything that you want, it can happen.
yeah. So if you were to go back in time to like season one, flying abroad, I don't know if you were pregnant then, because I feel like we're very
No,
close in time.
not the first year. It was the end of the second. It was I guess maybe it was the end of the first year. I'm trying to think. He was born in 2020.
Okay, because our first two are pretty close
Yeah,
in it.
he just turned 6, so it was the end of, but he was born in Augsburg. But then we left that next season, so it was the end of the second year. So the first year I wasn't pregnant.
Okay, so went there for the first time, and then now eight,
Gosh,
nine.
what a,
Yeah. How, like, so what was that like for you when you first went over there? Did you have culture shock?
for
Did you,
sure culture shock.
yeah.
Like, I don't think you can go somewhere new even like if you spoke the same language and not have it. Like we arrived on a Sunday and all the grocery stores were closed. We had absolutely no idea that was like a big shock. The apartments, I guess, were shocking also. Just like moving into a random apartment, that was shocking. Like learning how to like comfortably tell people like I don't speak German or like can you speak English or pointing at something to like get it done or opening Google Translate, like all of that was very shocking to the system. And I had no air conditioning, very shocking. In August, oof, that was like now I'm used to it and can set myself up for success. But at first, when you're not used to that, and you arrive and it's like 30 plus degrees,
Do you
that
think
was a culture shock. And no screens on the windows. That's interesting also. So
I
there's
can
lots of things. And then just like, and yeah, the most biggest thing I would take from my first year is wow, like the parents, I would give them so much more like wow claps, you're so amazing. Like when I was like 23 years old, just not in the mindset of like being a parent yet, so didn't really have their perspective of like how hard it was or multiple kids at the rink or anything like that. So I'd be like kudos to you guys, like anyone who can parent over in Europe with no village except for who you were paired with on this hockey team, whether your best friends, your acquaintances, or you're just like you're just there. Like that's your village, and those are like the people that you need to make the most of the season with. So that would be a big one, is like great job to those parents. And then I did a lot of traveling, but in general, like I was also a homebody, so I'd probably go explore more in the actual city that we were in. It's like I was a homebody for like daily, but like I
Mm.
always wanted to go do something. Like my husband got a day off. And then he told me that night, I'm like, perfect, let's go to Lake Como. It was like the second weekend we were there. He's like, it was 6 hours away. And then we woke up at like 5. He's like, we can go. I got to sleep the whole way. So I drove the whole way and he slept, and he woke up like an hour out and he's like, what is going, like, we're actually almost there. I was just like, it is so for it going, yeah, driving to Lake Como. And then, so like, we did a lot of road trips. And then I think having things planned, November break, February break, or family or friends visiting, that can be a very positive outlook to like have this thing to be excited for the
Yeah.
moments that you're feeling super homesick. I don't think I get homesick now. I more just like miss my family, but I don't feel homesick to Canada like I
Mhm.
think I used to, like the first couple seasons. So having things to look forward to is really helpful too. But now that I have 3 kids, it's more just like missing family, feeling guilty that they're missing grandparent time, and that I like they could have a great relationship with them, and they do for what they can, but it's like mostly on the phone.
Yeah. It's funny, like you're saying, like I went over there and I like didn't have kids and I was like, kudos to, looking back, like kudos to mom. And like now you're that mom with 3 kids and you're like doing the damn thing. And like people are probably like thinking the same thing about you. Like, look at her. She has 3 kids. Like she's a rock star. And truly, it is so, amazing, also difficult being away and, switch, like you guys have switched teams quite a few times. Like
Yeah,
throughout his span, and so having to like relearn all of those things can be like a lot
yeah,
of pressure on you as the mom to try to keep
totally.
afloat and moving. So yeah, that's cool though that you make that a priority to like really, take advantage of that time that you have off or like plan ahead because like you said, it is nice to have that to look forward to because it can
Yeah,
be long, long stretches if you're not doing anything, and then that mental energy can go into planning your next thing
totally.
with your family.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's like a little different now that the kids are getting older. But I also always make sure that they're in activities. Like in Slovakia, they were in hockey, swimming, gymnastics. My
Wow.
one son was in karate, and now over here they're in martial arts, hockey, soccer, which that's like keeps us busy through the week. And to give them a normal childhood and put them in these activities, like that is a main priority. Like as soon as I knew where we were going this season, that's like the first thing I look for is like what can my kids do, that will be the most normal situation for them. And like they are obsessed with sports, so it's usually like what activity can I get them in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it doesn't matter the language barrier. Usually the coach or instructor is like good enough in English that they will talk to them in English, and they don't want, like, we've never come across a problem with it. If you just talk to them and like explain to them, you're here for the hockey season. And my son speaks English, like he's learning German, but could you like also speak a little English? And yeah, every instructor we've had like has no problem with it, which has been great.
Yeah, that is really nice. Yeah, I was gonna ask you because obviously, like, that's mainly what your kids know because they, kind of like mine. I mean, I feel like you guys have been over there longer with kids, but it's kind of like what they know. And so, how have you, as a mom, like, helped explain that to them, and how do they feel about again?
Right,
Because summers over there, so it's probably a little bit different, like with the back
right.
and. But how do they handle being over there? Like, do they have a hard time? Do they just kind of roll with it? Like,
They're like pretty much roll with it. I think it's all they know also. Like they've never
yeah,
been in Canada for their whole lives for like a long-term situation.
right.
So they know like it's their dad's job and this is what we're doing like at this current chapter in our life. And we explain to it like in children terms. And like when we left Nitra last year, that was really confusing to them because I think they were there for 3 years. So like Sunny was 6 months old when we first got there. And then like left as a 3-year-old, and like our first son turned 3 there, like right after we got there, and then left as a 5-year-old. So that they really knew what nature was, and like the imports there were so great to them, and so were the Slovak guys and couples. So like that felt so homey for us. So that was probably the like I don't know about the future, but that was like a tough one for all of us. So to just explain, like it's
Yeah.
the job, and it comes with the what happens when daddy plays hockey. Like we could be here for 1 season, we could be here for 2, 3, we don't know. But just explaining like that's daddy's job, and they're quite understanding, and I think they just don't know a different perspective other than this. So they're like easygoing.
Yeah.
They're like very happy kids, and they also enjoy it. They love hockey. They love the hockey games. Jet gets to like go on his hockey like practice a lot, and then doing things with the hockey team. Like Jet gets to go on the ice sometimes at the end of their practice if it lines up. So like doing things like that makes it so special for them, I think too.
Yeah.
And then it helps them understand.
I just had like a memory that I think I think that team like reached out to Charlie when you guys were there. I just had a memory that I reached out to you. I totally forgot about that because they were kind of I think they might have sent him an offer or something and we were chit-chatting because I remember I
Crazy.
yeah, that was a long
I
time
feel
ago.
that I think maybe was right when we got there almost like around the
Yeah.
same time. So I feel like it's still like I love nature so much, but that love didn't come like right away. It took like a few months at least, and like took time to get used to the city, and like get them in activities. And I think, yeah, once you have the places you love and your kids are like doing stuff they love too, then it all comes more naturally. But like at first, any new place I think is shocking. You're like, where do I walk? What's open? What stores are around? What grocery store do I like? Like,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
I do here in my spare time? So no matter where you play, I think it will always be like that for like a month or so.
I
Who
know.
is on the team with me?
Oh yeah. No, oh yeah, no, seriously. Cause and I try to talk about that on Instagram too. I'm like, I think people in their head when you're not because you don't want to like bitch about it. Like you don't want to get there and like you don't know new people and you don't want to be like I'm stressed and I don't know where this stuff. But when you're bouncing around like you're going to a new team, like always try to say like you're not gonna feel amazing right away. Like you're jet lagged the heat, the new trying to find the grocery store, trying to find that like you're on edge, you're tired, everybody's adjusting, your kids are waking up all night. Like it's a lot at once. So it's gonna take like sometimes a few months, maybe even
Totally.
say that if you're living like in your own home, it's not even like a Europe versus North America thing. It's like they say that if you're moving from California to Idaho, for example, like
Right.
you don't know anyone, you're trying to figure out your life. It's an adjustment for everybody. Like you're not just gonna feel like bing, I feel great.
Totally.
I don't know anything. I don't speak the language. Like so, yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying because yeah, it does take time.
It takes time, and yeah, to just get comfortable, like it doesn't need to come natural, and it most likely won't like
Mhm.
be like a week and you feel great about it. Like you'll probably be questioning everything for
Yes.
a little
Yeah.
bit of time, and that's
You.
totally normal. Like yeah, it could be in a whole nother country, like coming back to Germany from Slovakia, even though we were there before. The other years we were in like the south, and now we're in the north, and even that is a change. And like going from a different country for 3 years to this, like this felt super new again. Like it didn't feel like familiar, even though I had been here before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all takes time.
Do you know Dana Alexic?
I just from Instagram, I
Okay.
messaged her about here.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm like, you guys should like connect because they played there and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's funny.
I
It's just
did message her. Yeah, like because I remember following her when she was here. I'm like, who can I find that like it has some pictures from being over here?
yeah. Are you in her old place or somewhere else?
Yeah.
You are in her old place?
Oh, me? No, no, we're
No.
somewhere else. We're somewhere else, not in her
Okay.
old place. Sorry, I cut out for a second.
Oh no, that's okay. Okay, so I haven't like put this episode out yet, but I just recorded a solo episode and in that episode I was talking about and I want to get into like your kids and the birth experience and having kids abroad versus in Canada.
Yeah.
And something that I talked about, which again, it hasn't come out yet, but I was talking about COVID and how I feel like it did kind of change things abroad, especially for like new moms and like how that was kind of challenging
Totally.
to go from like, moving to Europe for the first time to like all of a sudden you're like in a major lockdown, like trying to navigate being a mom in a foreign country, like all of that came
Yeah.
with. How was that experience for you? And I guess like we can kind of tie it into like, with your first up to your
Yeah.
third, how those births kind of deferred.
Yeah, what a blur that is, but like such a whirlwind. So Jet was born in January, and then it was like 2 weeks later, or like a week later, because I had my two sisters and brother came for 2 weeks, and it was like the next day that they left that it all blew up. So it was like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or so, and it was like pack everything and go. And that was the summer we were home the longest, obviously. So I'm very grateful that like that he was born before that all happened.
Yeah.
And then I'll get back to his birth. But then like going back for the next two seasons, like 2021 and 2022, like everything was on lockdown. You can't go out anywhere. Everything is like a huge question mark. So then that plus a new baby plus another, and then we also moved to Austria. So like another new country, freshly postpartum, and like lockdown and stuff. It was all, yeah, such a blur. I don't know what was to do with like COVID or like postpartum anxiety.
Mhm.
But I really had to work on like my mindset when we were there and like staying positive, getting out, leaning on my husband a lot. Like that is like your support system. I did have a really good friend there too, which was so great. And she was pregnant. So we would just like really hang out. There was a mountaintop I would always go to, and like that's the one place that I would feel peace at. Like I would like I'm going there, and it was like above the clouds, the most beautiful place in Bilac, and just like go and spend the afternoon out there and like kind of forget about everything that you had to wear a mask in a grocery store, like all the absolute chaos that came with that. So
That's
and then yes, so I'm very grateful that he was born in January. And then so that like I didn't have to go through my first birth with like restrictions.
mhm.
But the like next couple years following were crazy, and then like having to fly through all that like from Canada and Europe, and you had to have so much extra paperwork and go through so many more steps, and like I think it was like too much for some people, and then that was their retirement, but like we just pushed through, and then we kept going, and here we are. So my birth with Jet was great. I was didn't really look into anything to do with birth, to be honest. I just like had tons of faith that my body knew what I was doing, what it was doing, that I was totally made and built for birth, and I didn't even have a plan. And like whatever gets me here safely, I'm good with. So I had a great birth with him, but like the culture, the language barrier is a lot. So
Mhm.
like birth was really great. I had a great doctor. He didn't make it to the birth, and a midwife delivered him because it had like I was there for like 7 hours by the time he was born, because my water broke. So then I was just kind of sitting there getting monitored, and then I got an epidural around midnight, and then all of a sudden at like 7:50 in the morning, I'm like, my goodness, like something's happening. And then they checked, they're like, oh, like it's go time, and then he was out in just a few pushes. So and they took care of me great like during the labor part, and like I was just like kind of hanging out like with an epidural. I was personally just sleeping. It was not that. I'm very grateful for to have these amazing births, but then the aftercare, like you have to stay for 3 days in Germany, 72 hours, I think, after the birth I had to say, and goodness, they did not want to come in my room. Like they were doing like rock, paper, scissors to see who would come in my room to like give me whatever I needed. They did not want anything to do with like the English room. Um,
Mhm.
one night nurse was really nice, and she told us they did rock, paper, scissors to see who would have to come in. So, and then they would like tell me a breastfeeding consultant will come in, didn't show up for 3 days. So it was like crazy after like how much of an outcast you feel, even though you're just a woman who gave birth. And like I know I can learn the language, but I hadn't yet. That just is
Mhm.
what it is. And like and
Yeah.
So like the
Kind
my
of scary.
doctor was a
You feel like you're there and you need to be taken care of. Like you just had a baby, you don't know what you're doing. It's your first too. So it's like, your second, you feel a little more confident at the hospital that second.
totally,
It's like, hello, where is everybody? Like I have
yeah,
a question, or like you can't communicate. And that can be very like, it's like an added like stressor on top of like
totally.
trying
You
to
don't know
navigate.
what's normal or not. Like if it's your first birth, you have pretty
Yeah.
much no idea what's going on if there's no one there to like help guide you. And then
Hmm.
like the midwives, as you know, aren't the same as like midwives in Canada or North America. Like you don't hire them as a in place to like be there for your birth. So I didn't like have one hired for that, obviously. And I think I felt peace because I knew my doctor was great and I could call him if I needed anything. But like the actual care from the nurses, they just pretty much didn't want anything to do with us. Even just like signing like his birth certificate and stuff was like they're like so much more chaotic, I think, than it would have been if I could speak German. Just
Hmm.
little things. And then just the whole staying there. If mom and baby are healthy, like you just want to go home.
Yeah.
And then in the hockey world, it's so funny when you give birth because the hockey team continues doing what they need to do. So then my husband, I had to like leave for the weekend for two away games. So he like left, and then two girls on the team drove me home with my new baby. And then he trained home
So
for like to see us on Saturday. He
you
trained
don't
home
picture
to
that
see
in your
us.
head, like
What
when you don't picture that in your head when you're like I'm leaving the hospital, you like picture like the dad walk out and you're like, oh,
right, that hot dad walk.
yeah. You're like, nope, going home with a couple girls from the team. Yeah.
So that was crazy, I think, because it was my first experience. I honestly didn't have much expectation. I just wanted to be healthy and wanted the baby to be healthy. So I just kind of like was like, it is what it is, and I'm happy that we're both healthy. And then after that, then I got pregnant and Sunny was born in July. So we were in Germany and that shoot when I was pregnant with him. And so all my appointments were in for until like almost the when you shouldn't fly. I forget when I flew home. I flew home sometime in April and he was born in July. So then all my appointments were there. But then I got a midwife in Canada to do the birth with me. And after I had the English experience, I was like, I could not do that again. Like having been able to fully communicate with someone has felt so nice, so natural. I knew I would get the birth I wanted because by that time I was like, okay, next I want a natural birth and I want to like be able to move. And I had these things that I wished for rather than the first one. I just wanted whatever needed to be happen to be healthy. That was like all my only wish. So then I learned more about birth and like how capable I and women are. So then I had a lot more like of a plan. So then I found my midwife and I went into the hospital. I think it was like 5 or 6 a.m. and then he was born at like 8:03. It was like 2 hours.
Wonderful.
It was so nice to talk to her and just have someone English around and
Yeah.
there to support me. And
Yeah.
then a big difference also is I got to leave at 2 p.m. So I was there for like 6 hours total rather than days and days.
Okay, you guys, real quick. I shared on Instagram, I purchased my first Beam product ever because I have been kind of looking for a supplement that helps with my hormones because that week right before I get my period is very intense for me. I am extremely moody and just very sensitive, and I was just like feeling like I needed a little supplement of some sort. So I ordered the little drink packets and I've been taking them once every day. And so far, I have noticed that it actually really truly has helped me this month. I have like one of those big Simple Modern water bottles and I just pour it into that. I think it's like a 40-ounce tumbler and I just sip on it throughout my morning. And usually by this time, I've probably had like a minty bee or two, and this month I genuinely have not. So I am gonna keep um ordering this for the time being because if I just found a way to help manage my hormones this time of month, I am going to be so happy. I do have a code to share with you guys. It's 35% off your first order with the code ICE. So go to shopbeam.com/ice for 35% off your order.
Yeah,
Loving.
just having a Canadian experience being Canadian. I thought I would never give birth abroad again, like summer babies only.
Yeah.
It was just so peaceful knowing that everyone understood you and like that they could communicate clearly to you also. It's just like a type of peace that I maybe people who haven't gave birth abroad like don't understand, and I would totally get if they don't understand it because you can't even it's hard to describe giving birth abroad. Like it's something you literally have to do if you're choosing to stay like in the country where your husband is. But it's hard to explain how strong you mentally have to get to like do it. So I really thought I wouldn't have another like baby abroad. Just thought summer babies only, even the paperwork, like sign this. Our certificates in the mail here. We're like waiting for a citizenship passport. Like there was like a month, like 6 weeks waiting for our third baby's stuff because we had to get we had to get his birth certificate, then we had to get his passport, then there was then his visa. So like it all takes so much time,
Yeah.
all so much paperwork, sending stuff in the mail. But then we're like ready for our third baby. We never got pregnant just on one try. So that or with Sunny, it was like months and months. So we thought, well, we'll start now. Ended up getting pregnant the very first try, which ended up being a playoff baby. And the year before they won the championship, we're like, oh my gosh, wow, playoff baby, but we
Yeah.
can do it. So, but then I was going back and forth, like, do I go back to Canada and you miss the birth and like the first month or two of his life? And like, do I take like, obviously the big boys would come with me. So, like, take them away from him just wasn't an option. Like, it just didn't feel aligned or right at all for us. So, then we're like, let's go, let's give birth in Slovakia. And then we were going through a few different hospitals considering Bratislava, but it's like about to the hospital from our house was like an hour drive. And just how fast Sunny was born, I
Yeah.
just didn't want to risk that. I'm like, I do not want to be giving birth on the side of the road in Slovakia or
Yeah.
anywhere. And so then we decided on a hospital that was just 20 minutes away from us. So then we had one doctor like throughout the whole pregnancy until the last month. Then we switched to the doctor that was in that hospital. And then he was on call for us. And my husband calls him like because my water broke at home after a hockey game when I was in bed. So I called him like, hey, here his water broke, just wait. His dad was in town for us. So we're just waiting for his dad to show up and we'll be on our way. We'll be there in like 30 minutes. He's like, okay, great. See you there. Did it. Then he fell back asleep. So the doctor that I'm working with for the last month that was supposed to show up fell back asleep and didn't show up. But it was totally like meant to be, I think, because we got the most amazing woman doctor. I was so happy to have like another woman because my midwife was one and I just like loved that energy a little bit more.
Yeah.
Of course, it would have been fine, but there's this lady doctor who speaks perfect English. She's so kind. So she ended up being the doctor, and I was so grateful, like, for her to be there. It was it didn't like phase me at all that the doctor who was supposed to be there just didn't, it wasn't able to be there. And then I did hire a doula for this one, mainly for the language barrier. And I'm trying to call her on WhatsApp. Like, I'm going like where my water just broke. Texting her, it's like 2 in the morning, and then can't get a hold of her. And then I called her just like a handful of times. I'm like, there's only like so many times I can call her. That just can't be my focus at the moment. We'll figure it out. Like we know enough. Like my husband knows enough Slovak to like get us by, and then we can use Google Translate. And then she texted me after he was born, like, oh my gosh, you were supposed to call me on like regular call, not on WhatsApp. But I was just calling her on WhatsApp because that's all I've ever contacted her on. So I was just calling her like the only way I knew how. But I guess when I was actually in labor, she wanted me to call like through the phone number rather than WhatsApp because she didn't have WhatsApp notifications on in the evening.
Like things like that should have been communicated more clearly to you. You know what I
Totally.
mean? I think there's a lot of like assumptions over like between like Europeans and North Americans that like things like that are just like an understood thing. And it's like,
Totally.
why would I have known that if you didn't like, no offense to her, but it's just a small example of like that kind of communication
Language barrier.
can happen where it's like, oh, well, like this is obvious to me that you would have done this. It's like, okay, well, that was not obvious to me. Like,
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And like she did tell me, like, call me because like, but then like in my mind, especially when my water broke at home, it just didn't click to not call her where I've been messaging her. Like, because if I'm like I messaging someone, I just would click call them. So then when I'm WhatsApping someone, I just would also like click that same little button to give her a call. But I guess, yeah, she turns like the Wi-Fi off at night. So the
yeah,
WhatsApps don't go through. I had no idea. Complete, yeah, communication issue. It also worked out as a blessing because it was such a quick labor. Like I was there at like 2:30 and he was born at 5 a.m. So like it was like the very quick intense labor, and I'm like happy that it was just me and my husband. Like it was so intense that I didn't need like another voice there or like encouragement or like a back rub, whatever it would have been. I was
you
just I was literally scorching my back in the shower during a contraction, like waddling in my pain to the fresh air window, back and forth for like an hour. And then, yeah, that birth experience was, they've all been great birth experiences, but they're all just so different. Then, as soon as it was 10 centimeters, 15 people were in the room. Like, I was not used to that. And in that situation, they make you birth on your back, where my second, I didn't birth on my back, which is like, I think Europe is still more old school on
Mhm.
like how on things like that, I guess. Like that's also why we chose to give birth where we did, because a few of the other options were very old school and like you didn't really have much of a say. But then once I've already had this amazing dream second birth, I really knew what I wanted for the third one. Like I wasn't gonna like change my mind for that third one, but it
So,
was also a
so
quick one. That's okay.
no, that is so quick. And especially like they always say like the consecutive ones can sometimes be a lot faster than like, they're just quicker and quicker. And I've heard that
Totally.
happening where women are like at home and they like give, I think like, I don't know if you've seen The Bachelor, but I think Jade from The Bachelor like gave birth in her closet, like not intentionally, but like it just like happened so fast. And so that's wild. But I was going to ask you because, every season there's girls that are giving birth abroad, whether it's for like the first time or the second time. And on the podcast, I usually ask for like, what advice would you give, to someone XYZ? But like specifically, I want to ask you, like, what advice would you give to someone that is giving birth abroad? And like, what would you say to them if they're scared or they're nervous or, what would you say?
I would say we are made for this. You are so capable. Don't let the language barrier like give you any fear. You can, for Slovakia, like I had my birth wishes written out in English and Slovak. So like I could bring them, and I also showed them to my doctor who was supposed to be there. Like I showed them to him before and like got them confirmed. So in the moment, it wasn't like sporadic. Like I don't know what's going on. Like if you have wishes, be vocal, do your research, and like don't be afraid because of the language barrier. And births happen every day, every minute, in every part of the world. So just because you're a foreigner does not mean you can't do it.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, it's true. And it's hard to remember in the moment because you do feel alone. And
Totally.
like
And
that's,
just
yeah, they know what they're doing. It just
exactly.
additional hoops you have to jump through.
Totally. Like we're definitely made for this. And like these doctors, just because you don't speak their first language, it doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. So like to trust it in that, and like it just have it translated. Like there could be a few keywords that you want translated and like have them ready so that if you need to like your partner to talk for you, then they can do that.
Yeah, that's very, very smart. I have to say, I did not do that with either one of my births, but I wish I did because I think it would have helped, to sit down and
Totally.
really think about. Because I think the first time it's like you really just don't know what to expect, I feel
For
like.
sure.
And it's like, okay, the second time it's like now I kind of know what I need postpartum. And like when you're in that moment, you don't really think as clear as you would prior when you're, a few months before delivery and you can actually
Totally.
gather your thoughts and think about it and really be intentional with that.
Totally. And like, I think they're different with epidurals here too. Like it's less common in Europe to get one. And then in Slovakia, I'm like, they like pre-asked me at like 36 weeks, do you want one? I'm like, no, I don't, because they have to like pre-register everything and like make sure that that doctor is on when you're there. And then when I was there, I'm like, can I get one? And they're like, well, no, you can't. Like you said, you didn't want one. And I know I didn't want one, but in that moment, I think at a lot of natural births, there's a moment you're like, why didn't I? Or I thought so. Like I could have got one and just been napping in that bed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like things like epidurals are different over here
Yeah.
from what I've experienced. Like I really had to pre-register, pre-plan that one in Slovakia because even when I asked, like it just literally wasn't available. And then like the pain meds are different over here too. I think very low dose. A very positive that I like for like the doctor's appointments is the ultrasounds that you get. You get so many more ultrasounds in Europe, well, from what I've experienced. And I love that it's in the doctor's office. Like I've had the doctor just does it. It's not like you're going through these hoops to like get this next ultrasound appointment. They do it like almost every appointment. You get so many more pictures and it's in the same appointment that you're going to anyways, where with Sunny, I wouldn't even have had to get one in Canada, but they had to check on my placenta. So then like I had to get one, but then you have to get referred to like the ultrasound clinic. They have to call you to schedule, then they send it back to your doctor. You like don't get any results in the moment.
Yeah.
So I love like the way that they do it over here,
Yeah.
that it's in office and like the doctor is right there and usually the one that's doing it.
It's so funny how like old school some stuff is, and then some stuff you're like, could they do that over here? Like it's like, why is it like so vastly different?
Totally.
Like I don't know. It's just funny.
There's the pros and cons to anywhere. And like I think like if there's girls that are scared to give birth abroad, like that you have to remember that. Like there's pros and cons to whether it's your home country or whether it's a foreign country.
Yeah, and like everybody is so different. You just have to do what's best for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's there's some people that hate giving birth in North America and they would choose Europe 10 times out of 10, and on the flip side, you know what I mean? Like it's like you can listen to the stories, but then like at the end of the day, I feel like you just kind of have to like stay true to what feels right, and you know, that
Totally.
you don't have control over it. Sometimes you get
Exactly.
maybe the way that you imagined in your head, but and you just have to figure it out as you go. But
Totally. And yeah, to like be open and roll with it is
yeah,
so important too. Like even when I was deciding which hospital to give birth and I was considering a home birth, I asked way too many opinions of like other people, like Slovak people who had given birth there. I was like, I didn't even need to ask one opinion. I just needed to like trust my own gut instincts and body. And like I got so many stories, positive, negative, everything, that then you just are overwhelmed because you have so many facts, but it's not your birth. Their birth isn't your birth. Their body isn't your body. And their baby came how their baby needed to show up in the world.
yeah. Oh, I love that. And you have such a good mindset like about all of this stuff. Like I really respect that because that I'm sure has taken a lot of practice and patience and just, you know, time over the years to like
Totally.
cultivate that because it's yeah, it's you've gone through a lot, and yeah, I love that perspective. I feel like there's so much more we needed to cover.
I know. I'm like, wow, is it really almost? It's been like an hour. I could just keep chatting.
I know, I know. Well, and I do want to ask you too. So the same question. If you were to give advice, and let's say if you were to give advice to yourself 10 years ago when you first started kind of this European adventure, if you will, what would you say to yourself?
Make the most of it. Embrace all the difficultness. Like go be adventurous. Another thing I like to do is like make friends that aren't on the hockey team. Like I made a really good couple friends in Slovakia that had nothing to do with hockey. They don't even really know about the sport other than what I would tell them. And like that was also refreshing to like have my own friendship outside of the hockey life. And same with my kids. Like her son was best friends with mine. And like Sometimes just like a change of pace, even if it's once a month, like that can be good for the soul, I think. Yeah, say yes, go on the adventures, take the road trips, take the pictures, and make the most of every moment because it, like, truly, these last 8 years over here have flown by. And I think that's probably similar to everyone. Like, you really don't think that the year of career will be that long, and then you're the person who is now the vet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing all of this. And I know it's going to help and give comfort to people that are listening. And if anybody wants to follow your journey, where can they find you on Instagram?
It's Yakira Gill, Yakiragill.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you too.